Welcome to another reaction video. With Bush, he reacts to whatever's hot on the YouTube street, speaking real and from the heart. Buckle up, welcome to Bush Reactions. With Bush, your go-to guy for the funniest, wittiest, and downright most honest reactions to the best and worst in entertainment. From classic movie viral moments to the latest celeb dramas, nothing is off limits. Hit that subscribe button and join the fun, because you won't want to miss a single reaction. Here on In-Tune Perspective. Stay tuned.
That's a fact. We back. Another reaction video. Your boy Bush, In-Tune Perspective. You know what it is. And check us out tonight for episode 4, where we about to get crazy talking about all this madness that's going on in the industry. You know, the stuff we like to cover. The bull, as I like to say. Anyway, today we're going to get into the Diddy case. You know what I mean? It's the hot topic right now. So we're going to really analyze what's going on. We're going to see, you know what I mean, Cassie's on her day 4 of her testimony. And a lot of things came up. So I'm going to let TMZ, you know, speak on it. And I'm going to go ahead and just react to what they're saying. You know, I know some of these details, but it's better when you hear it officially. When somebody reading it, I mess with TMZ because they, you know, they make sure they right about what they reporting. So let's get into it. This trial is the trial of the century. Yeah, crazy shit. It might be the trial of a couple centuries, tell you the truth. Let's go. Harvey going to give us some details.
I didn't know this, but she testified that even while she was dating Kid Cudi, she was doing freak-offs with Diddy.
Yes, sir. Winners and losers. Winners and losers. That was a crazy-ass detail. Was a crazy detail. So, you broke up with Diddy, or was she cheating with Kid Cudi? Was she cheating with him, or did she leave him? Did she leave Diddy? Because those are very important details. But let's get into this shit. She know, I think she really liked them freak-offs from day 5 testimony, but y'all tell me.
Well, it is to be expected that the defense scored points today. So in that sense, they won the day because they did cross-examination all day, and they were trying to make a number of points. I want to get into something at the end of this. I want to talk about the jury's reaction to all of it, because I find it absolutely fascinating how the jury reacted to some of the most graphic testimony and photographs. But let's start with what the defense was trying to do. What they're trying to do is show that everything done was consensual, and it was done without coercion or force. For at least one of the charges, that's the ball game. That's why Cassie is primarily there. It's about, did she consent to these freak-offs? Did he force her or coerce her into doing it? So we told you yesterday that the prosecution didn't fully close the loop, that there was a lot of her saying, I didn't want to do it, but she almost never communicated, even obliquely, that to Diddy. And
that's a hell of a point there. That's a big point. Did she ever say, you know what? She did say, I seen the text where she said these freak-offs are becoming, you know, not fun or something like that. But when she was issued the issue, did she say no? Did she ever say refuse? It don't look like that from what I'm seeing. And she was dealing with Michael B. Other dudes and sneaking away to have these freak-offs. You feel me? Let's be real here. Let's listen though.
And the communication to Diddy is going to be really important when it comes to the jury instructions. By the way, this is not taking Diddy's side, because and the things she testified to are horrendous. I'm talking about the law right now. Yeah. That ultimately the jury is going to get a set of jury instructions, and that's what
they're. You know, this is a lawyer. You know, the TMZ dude, he is a lawyer, so that's why I want to. You know, he gets to the point. But man, let's be real here, honestly.
Going to have to deal with. So let's go through it. So the defense questioned Cassie about the freak-offs and whether she was consenting to them, because she testified that she did early on, but then she didn't like it. And then the question is, did she consent? So they presented her with a text in 2009, about a year after they got together, and the text essentially said she loved freak-offs. So that's a year in. They had an 11-year relationship. So I did not think that the defense would have anything closer to now to show this. But they presented a text from March 2017. That is well into the relationship, where the defense said, they read her this text. Cassie said, "I love our freak-offs when we both want it." And which is interesting because when we both want it does open the door to, well, what if she didn't want it? And Cassie testified.
But wait, 2017, wasn't she married to the dude, the white boy? And she's still texting Diddy about how she loved freak-offs. Let's come on now.
She wouldn't say that loving freak-offs, they were just words at that point. So I'm not sure what that means, but they had this text in 2017. So that's a point they wanted to make, that she was sending text to that effect long into the relationship. They also presented love letters that were clearly love letters coming from both Diddy and Cassie. They were texts. And I'm talking about how much they loved each other, how much they wanted to be with each other. And she talked about jealousy. She said that she was jealous of Kim Porter and other people in Diddy's life, people who he had relationships with.
Let's be honest here, though, on one thing that nobody really talked about, but I've been thinking about. Since Diddy went public with the new girl, Young Miami, Act Bad, been going crazy. Everybody know Diddy and Young Miami. That's when the shit come out. Now, Cassie got issues with jealousy. If she wanted to keep it, you know, her little freak-offs going with Diddy while she married and things like that, and then he see Diddy got him a new little freak-off partner who came out and said she likes to be peed on. You only gonna get this type of shit on Bush Reactions though, but she came out and said she liked to be peed on. Young Miami, Diddy's new girl. You feel me? So maybe she was with all the shit, and you know, the jealousy hit. Why is Cassie coming out now? Like, how is she able to move on without, you know, if she was able to move on, then ain't no reason to be messing with Diddy, texting him, none of that. But, you know, obviously it's deeper than that. It's a lot deeper.
That she wanted to be the main person. I got to say, I find this just one of the most interesting parts. She talks about dating Kid Cudi, that there was a point where she was dating Kid Cudi. I didn't know this, but she testified that even while she was dating Kid Cudi, she was doing freak-offs with Diddy.
Wow.
And the defense asked her, why were you doing these freak-offs? And her answer was, it was my job. Now, I'm not sure what that means, and I don't know if the defense is going to close.
Nah, that's some bullshit. It was my job. You was able to move on. You had several relationships after you left Diddy. I mean, there shouldn't be no communication with Diddy, let alone linking up for a freak off. Like, you liked it. Let's be honest. I don't know. It seemed like you liked it though. All this, you know, like I said, Diddy got a new girl, Young Miami. Now you hated it. You looking back and you hate yourself for it. I don't know, but that's what this was something telling me.
Close the loop on that. They didn't yet. What does "it's my job" mean? Does it mean that, you know, she is on his label and this is part of what she has to do? Does it mean it's just the way things have rolled along for so many years? I'm not sure what "it's his job" mean. "It's my job" means, you know, there are some people, I think this is a big leap, saying that.
Yeah, what up? What's happening? You already know, man. Like, your job, you was able to move on. You was with somebody else. You was with several other dudes, but you seem to be still want them freak offs. And soon as Diddy meet Young Miami, get to acting bad, now the shit come out. Come on now. This shit is, I mean, other shit, yeah, abusing the girl, all that. We know he did that. He deserved, but he not being charged with that, which is crazy. All this forced sex shit, I don't know. I swear to God, I don't know.
When you say "it's my job," it means she's getting paid for it. And I haven't seen any evidence of that. So I think you'll see that online and it goes down a rabbit hole. I don't think that's the case, because if it were, they'd have receipts and the defense would have brought it up. So I'm not exactly sure what "it's my job" means. Another
It's a wobbler. That's a cold fact. Harvey be best friends with the lawyers. You know, he's a lawyer. He was a lawyer for a long time, and he was one of them lawyers that get the money, the defense lawyers, right? That's how he knows so much. He does know a lot, but he's stating the facts of the case, and that's what it's adding up to. It's adding up to me like she was digging the freak off. She couldn't let go of the freak offs, and like I said, something that I think the defense is going to get into is as soon as Diddy got him a new girl, a new girl that's in the industry, and they made it public, and she came out talking about how much she loved the freak, she liked the, golden showers and things like that. That's when, boom, this bombshell dropped with Cassie and all this, and Cassie just went at him with and hey, I understand he did her wrong. He shouldn't have put his hands on her, all that type of shit, but she was with that man for a very long time. Let's see how long her future relationships last. She was with Diddy for a while. She been dating. She dated Michael B. Jordan. She dated Kid Cudi. She dated that. You feel me? Like, let's be honest here. They was in love with each other. Diddy loved her. She loved him. They was both jealous, crazy motherfuckers.
Another thing, by the way, that has been circulating online was that the baby oil contained drugs to drug Cassie and the other women who were involved. Cassie testified there were no drugs in the baby oil. By the way, they got...
Yeah, that was some YouTube streets rumors right there. That was straight from the YouTube streets. The baby oil had drugs, ketamine in that motherfucker.
This because one of the civil lawsuits, and maybe several of them, actually alleged that there were drugs in the baby oil to secretly and without consent drugging them. But Cassie said there were no drugs in the baby oil.
Yeah, that's weird.
Another thing that I just found really, really interesting was there was one point where Diddy contacted Cassie by text and said, let's do a freak off. And her answer was, I'm ovulating. That's really interesting because I think, so you don't have to say the word no to make it clear.
Wow. Her husband, he probably liked that. Her husband, a white boy, he probably with that, that shit. He like, oh, let me get the leftovers. I don't know. But a nigga ain't going for that. After you been turned out like that, and you addicted she's addicted to it. She addicted to the freak offs. And now that she realizes it's over, when Diddy found his new one, that's just my theory though on this so far from the details I'm hearing. Shit.
Clear. And I think she made it.
She with the homie. She with her husband texting Diddy, oh, I can't right now, oh, this and that, I'm ovulating. What the fuck?
Clear that she meant no, certainly as to intercourse. When she says, I'm ovulating, what else can that mean? I mean, she doesn't want to get pregnant from the sex worker. I think that's no jump at all. She did not want to have sex. So then Diddy texts, well, what if we just kiss? So he turns it, and she says yes. And then they...
But my thing is, they're communicating. She could have blocked that man, restraining order on that man, did this, that, whatever. No, they're communicating though, and they're showing proof like she wasn't forced. That's crazy, I swear.
They do a freak off, and the freak off lasts for more than 10 hours. And I thought that they would ask what happened during those 10 hours.
Yeah, it's a wobbler. You said it's her job means Diddy's boots was cooked, but what Harvey said is there's no evidence of her getting paid for these situations. And they got text from her saying how much she loved the freak off. So I don't know about all that. Now, all the other shit with other situations, we're going to see as the case goes on. But with this Cassie shit, man, this is, I don't know, man.
Hours. And they didn't. They never got specific. Because if there was intercourse, then a jury could say, wait a minute, he lures her in saying it's going to be kissing, and then they're having intercourse, or she's having intercourse with a sex worker. That never came up. They never, again, closed that loop. I keep using those words, but they didn't close the loop. But I just found it fascinating because I do think when you say I'm ovulating, that is a no as to sexual intercourse. But that was just kind of left hanging. The other thing that the defense did here was they really wanted to show that Cassie was part of the swingers lifestyle. So they got into this. And again, this is really dicey because what they're doing is, they're looking at this pregnant woman and the jury is looking at this. And if the defense looks like they are badgering or embarrassing her, it's going to backfire. So, but they asked her about it. They said,
but then you got to realize the prosecutors looking at this pregnant woman thinking, oh, we got this in the bag. She pregnant. She a pretty girl. Diddy's the big bad monster. But these details ain't adding up. That's all I'm saying. It seemed like she was with the freak-offs. That's my personal opinion. You feel me?
And, were you part of this swingers lifestyle? And she mentioned that she had gone to sex clubs with Diddy 2 or 3 times. And that, this was part of the whole swingers thing. They went in San Diego at least once. And she watched him having sex with another woman. So she wasn't walking away from it. I mean, I got to say, and I'm not there. I mean, I am not there. And so much of the testimony that somebody gives is kind of wrapped in how they say it. And, gestures and eye contact and whatnot. I haven't seen that, but I got to say that when you just read transcripts, she comes off as very honest, that she's not sugarcoating things. She is not overstating things. She comes off as very honest. And when she talks about how she felt, she doesn't necessarily ascribe it to Diddy that, I didn't want to do it. She doesn't say Diddy still said you have to. I mean, she never took those jumps. And to me, that shows an honest witness. So I got to say, when I've read this over the last couple of days, I think she comes off as incredibly believable. That said, the defense was trying to paint a picture of a relationship that was loving at times, and that where she consented to a lot of these freak-offs, even liked and loved them for a period of time by showing these texts. And the other thing that I thought was really fascinating was, we told you that the prosecution admitted into evidence, or the judge did, the unedited 2016 Intercontinental Hotel tape where Diddy beat her up so badly.
Yeah.
And, that's something that the defense is going to have to figure out how to overcome. They tried it today. I don't think this works. They were suggesting...
That video is the nail in the coffin. Without that video, they don't got shit. That video is what it is, and we all seen it, and yeah, he is a monster for that fucking video. She came across as honest, and I believe the same as Harvey. Yeah, she did come across as honest when you hearing her statements, but at the same time, honest to what? She was honest to the texting back and the agreeing to freak offs and things like that. There's no, she never refused certain things. So, but yeah, that video's a nail in the coffin.
Thing to Cassie that as that event was going down for the day before and that day, he was struggling with drug withdrawal. And I don't know how else to cut this. It seems like what they were doing is they were saying that it was some kind of an excuse that he was going through drug withdrawal and that he wasn't in his right mind. I don't know that that's going to sit well with the jury. She actually said, she didn't know anything about drug withdrawal. She said he was sick at the time. But again, even trying to make a defense out of what people see on that video, I think is just a huge mistake. Yeah. Frankly, I'm surprised that the defense raised that. I don't see them gaining any points. I actually see them losing points by it. And I also want to say...
They had to raise it because it's the biggest thing that's frying his ass. They had to, jump behind in some type of way. So, they had to. You can't ignore that. Because that's all the jury thinking. Yeah, what about the video where he whooping the shit out of her?
That I think that if there is benefit of the doubt where a jury kind of thinks Cassie's right, but they're not positive Cassie's right. I think they are going to give her the benefit of the doubt because, at least in my mind, she appears so honest in what she's saying. I want to go over something else, which I think is really interesting. That when the jury was picked during voir dire, the jury selection process, they were asked about, whether they were squeamish hearing about these lurid details, which they did hear about. And the jurors that were picked said they could handle it. You never know until you know, right? You never know until you see it. Well, late yesterday, the jury was shown screen grabs of some of the freak-offs, and they were really vivid. That jury was stoic. That jury didn't flinch. Their jaws didn't drop. I mean, this jury all along has been really, really stoic.
What was it supposed to do? What is it like? They're having sex. They're, what crazy? It can't be that crazy. Let's be real. Everybody, we're all human here.
And I got to say, it really surprises me because I've seen juries that are just animated when they're hearing testimony and they show disgust and all. Jury was just calm, even, and it seemed like nothing was shocking them. Although today, our producer who's in the courtroom this afternoon said that they seemed a little bored by the defense, that the defense seemed to be rambling on. So I think that's something that is kind of interesting. One of the things I want to talk about is racketeering, which we haven't talked about yet. One of the charges is that Diddy ran a criminal organization. He's the only one charged. Usually, this is reserved for, organized crime, like the mafia.
Yeah, before he go on, I'm going to say that sounds like some fucking, I'm sorry, that sounds like some bullshit. Come on now. Racketeering. He the only one charged with racketeering.
And here they're saying this individual was running an organized crime ring. Well, the freak-offs are not really an organized crime. I suppose they could say he had his assistant book the hotel room and everything else. I don't know the jury's going to look at that as organized crime. But they did get into Kid Cudi because she was dating Kid Cudi at one point. And, there are all sorts of stories that Kid Cudi's car blew up and it was Diddy that had one of his goons go out and blow it up. And they got into this and they talked about it. She never delivered the knockout blow and said, and Diddy told me that he did it. But they referenced blowing up Kid Cudi's car, but she never says he did it. I have a feeling that there are going to be other witnesses who come along and may try and wrap that in a bow for the prosecution. We haven't seen it yet, but this was the first really direct case of racketeering, at least that I've seen in the transcript. So it seems like they're setting that up. So just talking broadly here.
Is this another case where, like the thug case, where people get on the stand and they start changing their mind? They're looking at Diddy and probably get scared or feel away or whatever else, and they change their mind, because Cassie ain't really help out that much. I ain't gonna lie to you. She wasn't dramatic. She wasn't she was just matter-of-factly speaking about the situation, and it reminded me of YSL Woody.
Everybody talked about Cassie as the witness, where it will be signed, sealed, and delivered a guilty verdict for Diddy. I don't think she is that. I think she has given them an enormous amount of material, but there are going to be other witnesses. And remember, the prosecution is going to go 6 weeks. So we have only just begun this case. And I think there are going to be other witnesses that are going to try to tie things up for the prosecution. I don't think that, maybe some of it was tied up here. There was a point where she said she didn't want to do a freak-off, but she kind of told him gently because she didn't want to anger him. And they never really got into what the word gently means and what she specifically said. But, that could be really damning for Diddy, because that was one instance where at least she said no. But all of the other things, that when she says she was raped by Diddy, when she was dating her now husband, Alex Fine, before he got married, and he went into her house and raped her. That is clearly, if true, a state crime, but it's not connected to this charge. So the short story here is I don't think Cassie is the be all and end all when she walks down from the stand. But, you know, her testimony was impactful. It certainly sets the scene of what Diddy is like. And that does kind of lead to the last thing, which is she so dirtied him up that, you know, some juries just look at that and say, I really can't look at much more. I've already made my decision. And, you know, the Cassie video alone, where she's beaten brutally in that hotel lobby, in that hotel hallway, that may do it for a lot of jurors just right there, even though it doesn't necessarily prove the case. Because remember, the defense is saying that the beating had nothing to do with the freak off. It had to do with the cell phone that Cassie had seen and that she was holding Diddy's cell phone when he attacked her. That's not an excuse. That's domestic violence. He is a lucky man he didn't get prosecuted for it. I just don't know that this was the be all and end all in the strict legal sense. Whether a jury listens to it and says he is just a monster and we're going to put him away, that is possible. So bottom line here is this jury, and this is what I want to what I wanted to get into when we started at the beginning. I've been in court many times where I've seen juries and I could read them like a book and you could just tell whose side they were on. This jury is so stoic, emotionless when it comes to almost all of this testimony, and it's not going to get more graphic than it's gotten, that if you start reading that somebody looked at the tea leaves and said the jury is leaning toward the defense or the jury is leaning toward the prosecutors, I don't think you can say that. I don't think the jury, frankly, has made up their mind on anything yet. I don't think, because they know this trial has a long way to go. But don't believe it. I've seen plenty of juries that are completely misread. So to be continued.
You know, they made that case so big. They made it huge. So some people already thinking, oh, they trying to railroad him or whatever. And you know, some people are thinking, yeah, he's a monster, put him away. There's people already stuck on their sides. They come to these cases and they figure, okay, I'm gonna go here. They're gonna let me know what's really going on. But so far, we don't know nothing that's going on right now. We don't know shit right now because the Cassie's shit wasn't strong enough, man. Let's be real here. Cassie's stuff wasn't strong enough. I don't know if she changed her mind or whatever, but she didn't really go all in to try to put on a show for them people, which is cool because she came across real honest, and that's good. But I think people were expecting to hear some old next level wild stuff. Yeah, the R case when he allegedly went in her apartment and did that, that's crazy. And the beat down, that's crazy. But they're saying racketeering, high level criminal shit, mob shit, to where he's facing life in jail. Let's look at this. They just put up a Diddy Cassie party on vacation. I don't know what it's about. We'll just check it out. Oh, this is the dude that had the footage, probably working with Diddy. And now he got the freedom to drop it.
Check it.
Mentally on my living life, man. Fuck. Yo, everybody stop texting, stop calling me. For real. I'm not feeling your energy. I'm not feeling your energy. Need a little bit of lotion for these ankles. You know I'm from Harlem. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I still need lotion.
Hey, yeah, nice.
It's my bad foot right here. Talking about like, it's not my prettiest foot. This foot needs.
Yeah, I can't do this. We not doing that. Day 5. Which one is this one? Is this the one we just watched? Somebody gonna come and try to put the nail in the coffin.
civil lawsuit really cracked open this case, wrapping up her testimony. Earlier in the day, attorneys getting heated over completing her questioning today. She's 8.5 months pregnant and on the verge of going into labor. Prosecutors claiming the defense dragging it out, trying to force a mistrial. The testimony, again, graphic. Ventura's husband, Alex Fine, at one point walking out of court as his wife was peppered with questions about allegedly being raped. Also today, Dawn Richard spotted entering court, the former member of Diddy's girl group, Danity Kane, who prosecutors also called to the stand. The hip-hop mogul has firmly denied all allegations in this case. We have a lot to get to, including a new statement from Cassie right after she wrapped up her testimony and why Chris Brown's name came up while she was on the witness stand. But first, let's get right to our chief investigative reporter, Aaron Katursky, who has been inside the federal courthouse in Manhattan all week. He joins us outside court right now. Aaron, Cassie Ventura completing her testimony. She's been pretty stoic, but this afternoon she broke down in tears.
She did, Eva, and she had kept her composure for most of her 4 days on the witness stand under really
Yeah, I mean, her lawyers was like, yo, what's going on? You better show some type of emotion. Nah, but, you know, that's what they do. I ain't gonna hold you. The lawyers tell her, yo, come on now.
Comfortable cross-examination and testimony generally, the most intimate, graphic, demeaning things that you could imagine. She spoke about in open court in front of everybody, and she broke down today when she was asked by prosecutor Emily Johnson on redirect examination whether Sean Combs had beat her during freak-offs, those marathon drug-fueled sex sessions with male prostitutes. And she said yes. And then she was asked, after the defense had suggested she might have been motivated by money here, would she give back the $20 million that Sean Combs gave her as part of a civil settlement? She said, I would give the money back because I would have agency and autonomy, and I wouldn't have to work so hard to get those things back.
Aaron, at one point during Cassie's testimony, her husband actually got up and left.
He probably left after he found out she was still hooking up with Diddy while he was with her.
Had to. Alex Fine was told by the defense that he might be called as a witness. So when Cassie Ventura started talking about the alleged rape she said Sean Combs committed in 2018, that's when he had to leave. It couldn't have been comfortable anyway for him. But the defense had tried to raise questions about Cassie's recollection. At first, she said it was September 2018. Then the defense pointed out how she changed the time frame to August of 2018. And then the defense suggested she made it up when her now husband, Alex Fine, found out that she was having a sexual night with Sean Combs, because apparently Fine had FaceTimed her. She didn't answer the call. And later, when she was explaining what was going on with Sean Combs, she said, Sean Combs raped me. Now, of course, Cassie disputes that, and prosecutors tried to clean that up on redirect, but saying that Cassie Ventura had no doubt that Sean Combs did indeed carry out that rape.
Aaron, you've been in court all week. Have there been any reactions from the jury that stood out to you?
Couple today. The jury was very interested in the exchange over Cassie's recollection of the rape allegation. They were paying close attention there. They got a little bored in the middle of the day when cross-examination seemed a bit disjointed and meandering, no real one topic or one time frame. But then, toward the end, the jury got to hold some of the evidence. They got to see the money, the drugs, the baby oil that federal agents said they found in Sean Combs'.
See, it's funny how they say the jury got a little bored. What the fuck? This is entertainment? Yeah, it is. To be a good attorney, you got to be entertaining, keep the people engaged. That shit's crazy, though, when you think about it.
His hotel room in Midtown the night he was arrested.
Aaron, after Cassie got off the stand, 2 more witnesses were called. Who did we hear from?
So the federal agent who helped coordinate the search of Sean Combs' hotel room, she's the one that held up $9,000 in cash, kind of fanned it like a deck of cards for the jury to see. She also testified that there was ketamine and MDMA found in Combs's hotel room and other, well, the kinds of supplies that Cassie Ventura said he would stock for freak-offs. The night he was arrested in New York back in 2024, and then Dawn Richard, the member of Diddy Dirty Money and Identity Kane, she said she was a witness to Sean Combs attacking Cassie Ventura.
Aaron Katersky for us there outside court in Lower Manhattan. Thank you so much for joining us all week.
We don't need her. We seen the video of Sean Combs beating the hell out of her. Like, we seen it. We know.
Let's bring in our ABC News legal contributor, Brian Buckmeyer. You were also there at court today. What do you think was the standout moment of the day?
So I think it was kind of hard to piece together what the standout moment was because, as Aaron Katersky pointed out, the cross-examination seemed to meander at times. And I think on top of that, never really got to land the plane for the point they were trying to make. But as I've been following this case, I thought the timeline was very interesting because we know certain facts about this case. Cassie Ventura, when she releases her album, of course, when Kim Potter, the mother of Sean Combs's twin daughters and one son, when they had those children, when they broke up. And what's really important, I think, is near this end, because this is what the defense is trying to really hone in on, that all of this back and forth, the alleged rape, the consensual sex that she had after the alleged rape, when her now husband finds out about all of this, what the defense is trying to make a point of is the breakup between Cassie and Combs really happens just before Kim Potter dies. And we all know very publicly that Sean Combs comes out and says Kim Porter was his soulmate. And I think they're trying to make the argument that that's why this all broke up. Not because of the alleged rape, not because of the freak-offs, but because of this, really trying to weave in this narrative of jealousy in this case. They
really were trying to kind of talk about the jealousy, the infidelity, that pattern between the two of them. Chris Brown was mentioned today. Apparently Combs accused her of dancing with him. She denied that. What was this all about?
So we heard a lot of celebrity names, like you're correct. Chris Brown being one of them, dancing with Cassie, according to Sean Combs. We also heard about her dating Kid Cudi for a point of time. And also talking about, of course, Alex Fine, who she was dating at the time, but had that consensual sexual encounter with Sean Combs while, and the defense pointed this out, while she got a call from him. And that was a very tense moment in court because I think they're trying to point out there's infidelity, jealousy, back and forth, and a lot of big names were mentioned in this case.
Also in court today, there was this heated argument between the attorneys over when they were going to finish Cassie's testimony. What was that all about?
So interesting enough, if you watched us yesterday, we touched on this about the bit of the gamesmanship. And so it did get really heated for a while because at the end of the day, this case has been going on for a while. And the judge had said this cross-examination, redirect, all of that with Cassie Ventura must end by today because she's 8 months pregnant and she has to go off and live her life and give birth. Well, the defense was really running out the clock, and I think in an attempt to try to get the last word there. But through some miracle, they were able to get all the exhibits in. They did end early. There was a recross, redirect, recross, redirect. We went back and forth for a while. Ultimately, Cassie Ventura was off the stand. No issue of mistrial, which the government brought up. And then now we're continuing the case.
All right, Brian Buckmeyer, we're going to have more with you in just a little bit. As Brian mentioned, Cassie Ventura is nearly 9 months pregnant, and there was some urgency to wrap up her testimony today because she's due any day now. I want to bring...
And it's going to like a speedy trial because of her pregnancy. But the pregnancy, the speedy trial helps the defense, and the pregnancy helps the prosecutor. So we're going to see where this thing is going, y'all. I just wanted to review this shit, and I did it in real time with my peoples. I feel a lot of ways about this, but we're going to keep watching as the case go on. You know, Cassie, that was hard for her to do that, I know. But the truth must come out. It's your boy Bush, another reaction video, and we out of here.
Gripped up, he ain't trying to fight. 2 keys make a nigga risk it. I'm on the road with a 2-piece and a biscuit. Getting caught, that ain't shit we talk about. A nigga talk when he caught, stab him in his mouth. I ain't even do shit. The crib working construction. We move bricks. Look at me now. I made myself. We did it for the love. We did it by ourselves. You know the same story on the block, rock for guap. Now we building the business underground to the top. A lost young nigga hustling on a dark road. I'm still a hustler. Cause that's all I know. Flip it to the snow cause the tree was too slow. Now we Maji and Perk, we bout to cop a boat. I love my niggas though, last real niggas left. From the cage to the stage, we did it the best. Weak niggas got left, sleep niggas got slept. From the page to page, Brooklyn we born to rep.